all he's doing is rising up over people, and he's found his rhythm. I'm interested to see tonight, can he lock up Tobias Harris like he did last year in the bubble and still go give buckets on the offensive end? That's the key and the next step for Jalen. Being able to slow down Tobias Harris, who is having an all-star caliber season, and still go out there and be that number one option, especially with Jason Tatum being out.
Chris, what is the buzz nationally on Jalen?
I mean, look, he's one of, if not the most improved player in the league, up there with Christian Wood and a handful of others for that honor this season. And I was asking some people within the Celtics organization today that question about explaining the improved offensive numbers for Jaylen Brown inside the arc. And they were telling me a couple of things. One, when he gets into the paint, he's making better reads. He's not necessarily forcing shots, playing drive and kick a little bit more, which has led to some better opportunities for other players. His left hand has improved a lot as well. And Perk mentioned those short pull-ups. One thing some people were telling me was when you watch Jalen this year, in years past, he would kind of lean left or right on those shots. This year, you're seeing a lot more verticality from him, which has led to better form, better technique, and as you're seeing, better shots going in the basket.
Look at you doing your research, Chris Mannix. Well done. I appreciate you. But when it comes to Jalen, and then now having to work Kemba Walker back in, Kemba said it himself post-game. He wants Jalen to continue to be a killer. How does he do that, Perk, as Kemba comes back?
Well, you know, one thing about it is that this team, the Celtics, are so tight-knit. They got great chemistry. They know how to do that. And the thing that I love about Kemba is that he don't have a problem with passing the torch. He's going to find his rhythm. The great thing about Kemba is that he don't need the ball in his hands to be successful. He's a point guard / two guard or combo guard, shall I say, that could play off the ball and is able to get shots without having to over dribble or pound the ball. So, and with Jalen being able to find guys, he's going to find guys like Kemba, and Kemba is going to get his rhythm back.
Mannix, Jalen, the way he's playing this season, has it softened your stance on guys picked in the top three can't be the most improved player at the end of the year?
You can't be the most improved player if you're picked in the top three. You just can't. Christian Wood can be most improved player. If you get picked in the top three, you are supposed to improve. It is not most improved if you're supposed to get there.
But isn't it all about narrative? And the narrative about Jaylen Brown is that he may have hit his ceiling 2 years ago, right? Can't we start it from there?
He's 24. He's 24. No, not most improved.
I don't know. Perk, I thought you had my back on that. I thought Jalen was your early pick.
I do, Abby. He is my early pick, and he can get most improved. I didn't say I was rolling with Chris.
You just won't get Mannix's vote, apparently. All right, the South Coast Health Report the Health Report is brought to you by South Coast Health, providing the exceptional care that you need and trust then, now, always. South Coast Health, more than medicine. As I said, Jason Tatum out tonight due to COVID, although Brad Stevens says he is 50-50 for Friday. Carson Edwards also out, and Romeo, we know, has been out all season. Seth Curry also out dealing with COVID issues. But right now, it's time for storylines. I'm going to toss it over to my guys, Tom and Scal.
All right, that's right. We got storylines now, Scal, and we're talking about sharing the basketball tonight with the Celtics and the Sixers. And the C's averaging, somewhere around 22 assists per game this season. Philadelphia, a little bit better than that, averaging just under 26 assists per game. One thing to keep in mind, though, also is that the Celtics are holding opponents down to about 22 assists per game. It's actually 22.3. So as we look at these numbers here, the over-unders for each team's total assist, Celtics are at 22.5. If you go over that, you put down $11.50. It wins you $10. And I know that this is certainly something you wanted to get into tonight.
Yeah, so Philadelphia is unbelievable at guarding the rim. So what does that mean? Whether you're coming off a screen and roll and shooting a pull-up jump shot, which the Celtics are good at. I mean, obviously, they're much better when they have Jason Tatum, or you're making the extra pass. And my guess, after the Knicks game, and you watched them play, and they were not moving the ball at a high clip. They weren't moving it freely. I think the emphasis these last couple days will be ball movement. So if you believe the Celtics are going to win, you will believe that they'll be north of that number.
All right, and again, that number is 22.5. So if they go over that, $11.50 wins you $10. And all those numbers brought to you by PointsBet, our sports book that we work with. So, Scal, good stuff. We'll be checking back in on those after the game. That's storylines for now. We'll send it back in to Abby.
Thank you very much. I think Scal might have been happier doing that segment in his robe. Still to come here on Celtics Pregame Live, I had a wide-ranging conversation with Kemba Walker earlier this afternoon. Stick around. You'll hear much of it. Plus, we'll continue to get you set. We'll hear from Mike Gorman and Scal coming up.
Celtics Pregame Live is presented by TD Bank.
I missed it so much. Really hard watching these guys play. While not being able to play, I'm trying my best to encourage them and be the biggest cheerleader on the sidelines while I was out. But I was just itching to play so bad.
You told me that you are Jalen and Jason's biggest fans. I think one of the things we hear a lot talked about but not really seen in practice is the word sacrifice. What does that word mean to you?
Sacrifice. I mean, it's just really just being uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes in order to, for the betterment of the team, you just had to. You had to do things that you probably wouldn't normally do. You have to do what's asked of you. And, all the great players have done it in some way, shape, or form. In order to be a great team, you have to have guys willing to take that sacrifice.
This is a different Sixers team than the one you guys swept out of the playoffs last season. When you look at them on film, what are you seeing?
They are different. Obviously, they have Ben. They were missing Ben in the bubble, obviously, which is a huge loss for them. But they've added some guys, this year who can really help them. At the end of the day, we know Ben and B just are the heads of the snake. They make that team go. So we have to do our best to contain those guys, in order to get a win.
Today is Inauguration Day. Obviously, the fight for social justice and the work that you guys did while you were in the bubble in Florida made a difference on Election Day. How proud are you of that work and the Celtics and your teammates' commitment to continue that fight?
I'm proud of that. Honestly, it's much bigger than all of us. To be honest, the world, the whole NBA, especially the NBA itself, just giving us the platform to spread the word was, unbelievable. It's just such a great opportunity for so many of us. Especially, my teammate, my little bro, Jalen, who was kind of the head of the snake, one of the heads of the snake in the bubble, just really leading everything and using his voice, to get strong messages out there to the people. He was unbelievable, and he still is unbelievable. And when it comes to that stuff, I really look to him. Look to get answers from him. He's so smart. He knows what he's talking about. I'm a big fan of him and what he does for the community. So yeah, today's a special day.
You dodged my question last week about James Harden joining the Nets. But my bigger question is, how much tougher is the East this season as a whole?
It's tougher though, especially obviously with James going to Brooklyn. You got 3 superstars on one team, and they're 2-0 so far without Kai, and James is looking back to his normal self. Then the teams that were already doing well, us and Milwaukee. You have Philly, Miami, Indy. Teams are just continuously getting better.
I really want to thank Kemba for taking so much time to talk with me today. Chris Mannix, as we get set for the Celtics and Sixers, the takeaway that I had, the biggest one talking to Kemba, was just how badly he felt about the way he played on Sunday night. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 3 steals, but also those 5 turnovers. He went from 0 to 60 in a day. I didn't really expect much from him in that respect.
Yeah, I think we give him a pass for how he performs in his first game back in, 4 months. Hasn't played since the Celtics were ousted in mid-September. Limited practice time because of everything that's going on with COVID. So it's natural to be as rusty as he was. But I have zero concerns about Kemba Walker getting back to his rhythm. Like, this is an all-star guard who doesn't have a huge ego. We were talking earlier in the show about Kemba fitting in with an MVP candidate, Jason Tatum, a burgeoning all-star in Jaylen Brown. I spent a lot of time around Kemba Walker when he was a member of the Charlotte Hornets. I can't overstate enough how much it sucked for him to make the playoffs just 2 times and get ousted in the first round both those times. Kemba Walker came to Boston to win. If that means his numbers have to go down to do it, he is not going to have any problem in that scenario.
No, there's no question in my mind. When he talks about sacrifice, he means it. It's genuine. But how long do you think it is going to take him to figure out how to play with this new Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
Not long. I'm not worried about him fitting into, the advanced Jason Tatum, the advanced Jaylen Brown. The question is going to be, when does he get his sea legs under him, and when do his skills get back to the level that we're used to seeing from Kemba Walker? And look, that could be a matter of days, no more than a matter of weeks. All I'm listening for, Abby, when Kemba Walker does interviews, is how his knee is feeling. If he continues to say, my knee feels great, I'm not even thinking about it, there is no other concern when it comes to Kemba Walker. He will get back close to that all-star form before the end of the season.
And I tried to get that out of him, but Kemba, he's just not going to give us anything. I mean, his minutes restrictions remains around 20 minutes tonight. But Chris, what are your sources telling you within the Celtics organization? How confident are they in that knee and that it will hold up this season?
Cautiously optimistic is the way I would frame it. When you have an injury that lasted you close to a year, you've got to have a little bit of wariness about recurrence. But the Celtics were very patient with Kemba from the start. They rested him for almost a month before getting him back into the rotation. They will be easing him back into it when it comes to minutes restrictions for the foreseeable future. So look, the Celtics are feeling good about where Kemba is right now. They'll be feeling great if he feels this exact same way a month from now.
I do hope that, yes, it will not be an issue for the season, but like you said, that is a big hope at this moment. It is not a problem for tonight. Kemba, as you heard, says he's feeling pretty good, which is a good thing because there's a big challenge ahead for the Celtics as we are just 7.5 minutes away from tip-off. I'm going to welcome in the guys on the call, Mike Gorman and Brian Scalabrine. It's time for the crossover. Manic's still with us as well. Mike, what have you seen from this Sixers team so far this season? How different are they from years past?
Well, I'll let Scal testify to most of that. I think they certainly got some shooters around Embiid now, and that's a big difference on the offensive end. And Doc's always been a player's guy, Scal. You played underneath him. He gets guys to rally around.
Well, I just think that, I like Brett Brown. I think he's a great guy. I don't think Ben Simmons is a great game manager. I think Doc is teaching Ben Simmons how to manage a game. It's just like having a Tom Brady back there, and you can, pick the right plays at the right time and when to go to Embiid and when not to. And Doc's been around for forever. So I think they're managing the game better, and they have more spacing. That roster last year just didn't fit. It had, there's not enough shooting. They didn't play fast enough. And Embiid is motivated. And I think those 3 things, especially early in the year, is a big difference.
He needs to be motivated. That's for sure.
Yeah, day in and day out, Embiid needs to be pushed, and if he does that, he can be in the conversation to win an MVP. That's how good he is.
Scal, what kind of magic can Doc work on Ben Simmons? 1 for 5 from 3 this season. Clearly still does not want to take that shot.
Everyone's concerned with the wrong stuff. It's not about that. Can you talk about him being one of the best defensive players in the NBA? What about him pushing the ball in transition? That's like a narrative that Doc Rivers doesn't care about. No one cares about that. Other coaches, they want Ben Simmons to shoot threes. They don't want this guy getting downhill. 6'10", can pass over the defense, can finish with his right hand and his left hand. So it's I think that's such a small percentage of why people think that Ben Simmons is going to be good or he's not good. He is a good player. He knows how to play. And so if he shoots 5 threes in a game or he makes 1 over the course of the playoffs, it's not going to affect the way that they're playing right now.
Yeah, I would agree with Scal. I don't think that Ben Simmons ever needs to become even a serviceable three-point shooter to be a great player. I mean, he's an all-NBA talent right now at 24 years old, and he's a non-factor from beyond the three-point line. He can defend 5 positions. He's a lethal player in the open floor. He's almost the entire package. He doesn't need to add that extra layer to be one of the best point guards in the game.
Yeah, Abby, like we say things like, Ben Simmons needs to shoot the 3. Well, I can sit here and say, well, Steph Curry needs to be able to defend 5 different guys. Like, well, it's never going to be part of his cards. Just like it's never going to be part of Ben Simmons' cards. So the whole thing, and to be honest, I say the same exact thing. The one thing I will bring up, and this is a big deal, with Giannis and with Ben Simmons, if they're afraid to get fouled in the fourth quarter, that affects winning.